Hey, it's Jackie. So I just wanted to kind of do a little basics video, well, a series of basics videos to just basically cover, the basics of makeup, how to put on your foundation, how to put on your blush, how to contour, how to do mascara, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so today I'm going to start with foundation, okay? Now, I know a lot of people don't wear foundation. I know that I didn't for a really long time, and I felt like the reason why is every time I did wear foundation, I felt like my skin looked worse, and I felt like it just magnified my flaws instead of perfecting them. So for me, it never seemed to work. And then I kind of went the route of, doing like a tinted moisturizer. And that was a little bit better. And I think the reason why a lot of people pull towards a tinted moisturizer is because it has a more natural finish on your skin. I think that's one of the main problems that I used to have with a lot of the foundations that I used to try, is that it always looked very apparent that I had something on my skin. And the purpose of makeup, I mean, you really don't want to look like you have a ton of makeup on, if you're going out, especially, just on your face. You want to look flawless and radiant on your own. So I'm going to show you how we do that. All right, the first thing that I like to do is I have a tutorial about, I don't know if you girls have all those little baby hairs, but I just put out a video on how to use a little facial razor and get rid of those. So, starting out with a clean face is really important. A clean face, use a little bit of moisturizer. I use just a teeny bit of Nivea on my face before I go ahead and start up. And I'll put that on like in the morning, first thing when I wake up. So I do like to use a primer. Now, what does a primer do? Basically, a primer, there's a couple different kinds. There are primers that are like pore filling primers, like the Benefits Porefesional, or like this NYX Pore Filler that I have. And then there are primers that are like silicone based, like the Smashbox Photo Finish primer. And actually, you can use Monistat anti-chafing gel for your primer. You need just a teeny amount, and you can put that on for your primer. It's the same sort of silicone base as the, here's the Sephora version, but I mean, it's the same exact thing. This is just basically, it creates a base layer on your skin, it smooths out the texture of your skin, and just makes a nice, canvas for what we're going to put on top of it. Now, one of my favorite foundations right now that I've been using is this Revlon PhotoReady. And I am in the color Natural Beige, and that's number 5. It just has such a natural finish. Now, if you look close to the bottle, and I don't know if it's going to come off in camera, but it has a little bit of shimmer in it, okay? A little bit of sparkle. And I didn't even notice this until I was watching some other YouTuber talking, and they were like, oh yeah, and this has, sparkle in it. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess it does. It does not come off overly sparkly on your face. Well, at least I don't feel like it does. So there's a couple ways to apply foundation. You can just do it with your fingers, you can do it with a brush, or you can do it with a beauty blender. And obviously everybody has your fingers at your house, so you can use it that way. But I really feel like you really get the best application if you use either a brush or a beauty blender or beauty blender type dupe. Now, I got this dupe, and as you can see, it's a little dirty because obviously I use it. I got this at TJ Maxx. This was $3 or $4, I think. And I'll have to look up the exact brand name because not all dupes are created equal. If you're looking at buying a beauty blender or beauty blender type dupe and you're in the store and you want to know what to look for, the most important thing, I feel, it doesn't matter about size or shape or color or any of that stuff, you need to make sure texture-wise, you want it to be soft, easily squishable. Okay, let me go. Okay, so this is the beauty blender that I bought from, or the dupe that I had bought from Ulta at first, and this is why I didn't understand what the hype was about beauty blenders. I don't know if you can tell, but I mean, just the difference in texture between these two things. I mean, I'm having to like squeeze for my life with this guy, and this is just so soft, and that's really what you want. You want these, you want it to be soft because this, you know, you're like abusing yourself with this. I was like, what is the point of a beauty blender? I don't get it. You know, this thing is hard as heck, and it didn't, you know, really do much for me. This is the texture that you want to find, ladies. Super soft. When you use this, you want to get it wet with water, dampen it, and then squeeze or saturate it. You know, squeeze it underneath the faucet or whatever to get it full of water, and then squeeze it out. And this one, and most of the beauty blenders or the dupes, if you have, you know, a dupe that's the right dupe, they'll get a little bit bigger when they get wet. So that is a beauty blender. And then this is a really great face brush. This is from Real Techniques by Samantha Chapman, and this is her expert face brush. Now, if you can tell with this brush, it's, you know, not huge, you know, it's not like, you know, the size of, you know, a blush or powder brush or anything. So it's a little bit on, you know, the smaller side. But I find that the head of this is just so perfectly tapered, and the bristles are like, you know, they give a little bit, but not too much. So it really helps to move your product around evenly, you know, give you a really nice look on your face, you know, sort of airbrushed, and it just, it blends, I don't know, it just blends out better, ladies. Use a brush. Okay, there's this, I do not care for these types of brushes for my foundation. I like these more for like concealer or something for under the eye, these types of like flat brushes like this. This is the e.l.f. Just $1 foundation brush. This I find is a little harder to use for foundation. I just feel like you have to be, I don't know, it's hard to be, I don't know, not precise, but it's just I feel like you gotta be a darn artist really to kind of use one of these brushes for foundation. I just don't get the type, you know, it's not as easy as the brush or the blender is. So I have been really loving my beauty blender recently, and I'm gonna show you why. So this is how I put on my foundation. I take the back of my hand, and I love this little guy because it has a pump on it, but you just want to put a little bit of product on your hand. So you just want a little on your hand. I find this to be easier than kind of like blobbing it on my face and then blending it in, because I don't know, I just feel like I get the right amount of product with this. Does that make sense? Okay. So the nice thing I feel about the beauty blender, okay, I go ahead and I just dab it. I pick up a little bit of product, and then I just go ahead and start, you know, dabbing it on my face in circular motions. And I already got this little guy wet, so it's already wet. And the nice thing about the beauty blender, I feel, is that it's kind of a no-brainer on product. You dab it in and you just start moving it around your face, and I find that, you know, one dab will pretty much cover the better part of my cheek, you know, and it just makes, you don't have big globs of foundation in one area or another. I just feel like it's just a really easy way to get a nice consistency on your face. And, you know, this foundation, if you are one of those girls who, you know, are thinking, well, you know, I really don't want to wear a foundation. I don't need a lot of coverage. You know, I don't want to look like I'm wearing a mask. I just want to use tinted moisturizer. Get this foundation. Because this is medium coverage. Okay, it's oil free. It is, it just, I'm sorry about that door, y'all. I try to keep this back door open so I don't have to get up and down 1,000 times when I'm doing these videos to let the dogs out, because, you know, they only want to go out when, you know, you're busy. So I leave that door open, but the house isn't haunted or anything, and, you know, like, Thriller isn't about to start happening. Although that could be a good Halloween thing. I'll start the door and then I can start dancing to Thriller and make myself look like Michael Jackson again. Okay. And I say again because if you are not one of my friends on Facebook, I did, I dressed up like Michael Jackson this Halloween, did my makeup like him. Okay, so what I do too, I take foundation and I do put it, this dog's, I will go all the way to right up under my eyes with my foundation. That's really annoying, guys, I'm sorry. And then, you know, basically that's all she wrote. I feel like this has a medium, medium coverage. I feel like it can be buildable on spots like this little guy. You know, you can build it up a little bit too to make it like, you know, medium plus coverage, I guess. All right, so now after you do your foundation, you're gonna want to do your concealer and conceal any of the areas that your foundation didn't cover. Now, there is a really great concealer by Covergirl, and I'm going to put this on, but I don't know if this is a little too light for me. It's a concealer balm, and it's Covergirl and Olay, and I used to use these in high school, these little sticks, and they were always really dry, really hard to put on, but of course I still used them because, you know, we don't know any better and you just use what you have. But it was always so dry that, you know, it was insane. This is so creamy and, you know, it has such a nice finish on it. It'll really just blend, you know, any sort of imperfection out. So I really like, you know, my little Olay cover stick for blemishes and stuff because it has good coverage without being, you know, drying. It covers, but it's not thick and it's not, you know, it's just not too much. It's like the perfect amount of coverage. I feel like it does, you know, pretty much anything that I want it to in terms of blemishes. But then there are always those times where, ladies, you know, you just need something a little bit more. And I love this. Everything I touch has like foundation on top of it now. This is amazing concealer by Amazing Cosmetics. You can get this from Sephora or Ulta. They don't have a ton of colors, and this is in the color golden or light golden, and you get a ½ ounce, and I can't remember what exactly. I'll find the price of it and put it up, but I remember it was a little pricey. The amount that you have to use though of this stuff is like, I mean, I just tapped my finger on what was left in the cap. So it'll last you for, life almost. Okay. So, now that we've concealed any sort of blemishes, now we're going to do our under eyes. I grew up with the notion that concealer was concealer was concealer. You can use the same concealer on your blemishes and on your under eyes and wherever. And in some cases, that's true. Like this CoverGirl actually will do a pretty good job of under your eyes as well. But technically, there are different kinds of concealers for different types of things. You want a concealer that's going to go on and be moisturizing but mattifying for blemishes and stuff like that. And on your under eyes, you want something that's going to be brightening and dry, have almost a dewy, natural hydrating type finish to it for under your eyes. So I really like, and I know a lot of you girls have tried this and told me that you like it too. And my little packaging is starting to like disintegrate because I've used it so much. But the Maybelline Dream Lumi. This is in ivory actually, but the color Radiance is like the perfect peach tone, and it just brightens underneath your eyes. This I like because it has a little bit, I feel like a yellow cast, so this gives me a little bit of the brightening too. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, now I'm sure everybody has seen that picture that Kim Kardashian's makeup artist did of her face all like highlighted and cray-cray, and she had those big giant triangles under her eyes to brighten. And girls, that works. There's a reason why he posted that, because it works. Blend the puppies out. I'm just gonna use my fingers because I can use two at once. And basically with your under eye concealer, you want to blend it, but you don't want to get rid of it. You don't need, it looked like I put a lot of product on there, but I think I only twisted that up like twice, and it was still a very light application of product. And what I'm just doing now is basically with the heat of your finger, and I really like to do my under eyes with my finger because I just feel like you get a nice even application. We're just going to blend that in, and that's why I put foundation on underneath this, because that's going to really make your under eye concealer stay, because you have foundation under it, you have the primer under that, and this is just going to brighten up that area and make you look more awake. Alright, so now after all of your makeup sets, this is very important. After you put your foundation on, you want to let it dry, okay? Don't start, don't put your foundation on, then real quick put your concealer on, then, real quick start throwing your blush on and everything else, and, your setting powder. You need to let this set. If you don't, it's going to look cakey, and it's going to look weird, and it's not going to be cute, because that ain't cute. Okay, so I am going to use, my stuff is like everywhere. Sorry that I'm like everywhere. Okay, I am going to use this Laura Gellar. This is her Balance and Brighten for my setting powder. You can also use, and I don't have it in here. I think it's in my other room. You can also use the e.l.f. $6 setting powder. Is like almost exactly like the Makeup Forever HD setting powder. It's just like a translucent powder. So when you set your makeup, you take a big powder brush, alright? And this is the Sephora Airbrush powder brush. And you just want a nice big fluffy brush. Okay, so you get it in the product and make sure you tap your brush. You always want to tap your brush up, because if not, you're going to end up looking like a ghost. You do not need a lot of setting powder. My one tap in here is going to take care of this half of my face. Then I'm going to swipe 2 more times. Tap. Go on this side of my face. 2 more times. Tap. Go on my forehead. And that's pretty much all the setting powder you need. You do not need a ton of product. You want something just to kind of lock your concealer in and be on your way. Alright, now, so that is basically the basics for foundation. Start with a clean face. Shave your face if you need to. Look at my other video for that. Moisturize, primer, foundation with either a blender or a brush, concealer, setting powder, and I mean, girls, it'll look, you know, it can look really natural if you're using the right products. I so highly recommend this Revlon PhotoReady. It has such a flawless finish to it. I really, let me zoom you guys in. You know, it's, my skin still looks radiant and it still looks like skin, except just perfected. So that's, I mean, that's what you want with makeup. You want it to look like a better version of yourself. So that is my foundation basics. Go over to my blush and contouring basics next video. Have a great day. Bye.